what I'm fascinated by with you is that you deliver the news, but every day you don't deliver the news like, because if I had your job, every day I would look down the barrel of the camera and be like, y'all, it's bad. Oh, it is bad. Okay, you hope you're sitting down. And I feel like that, I'm amazed that y'all can deliver the thing based on what's happening, but like take yourselves out of it. I think if I was doing your job and reading off a prompt, especially reading cold, I think that initially I'd be able to be like, welcome back to CBS Morning News. And then as soon as I start reading, I'd be like, oh, what? Wait, when?
Yeah, right.
I don't understand how y'all don't turn to production and be like, are they alive?
Yeah. The dirty secret, of course, is that when we throw to a package or when we're in a commercial, that's what we do. Like Gayle will be like, can you believe this? And we always say the show in between the show is one of the most interesting ones. I ask this of every Daily Show correspondent, which is when you come in and they say, we're going to build a show around this particular thing that happened, whether it's something that happened in Washington or something that happened anywhere across the country or around the world. How do you feel when you look at the news that you're going to then have to mine for a comedic tilt or slant on it?
The way I look at it is that so many things, even when unprecedented, are actually cyclical. So there are things that happen for the first time in the specific way that they've happened. But grifting isn't new. Like insider trading isn't new. Leaders not knowing what they're doing isn't new. So I think that you can find a rhythm to it based on knowing enough history, knowing enough about people as well to take in how people are interpreting the thing happening. Right now, this is the scariest thing that's ever happened, right? But then also knowing that outside of once we get to the first truly unprecedented this is it thing, we've always made it out. We've always come back around the corner from what looked like the very edge of not knowing what we would do as a society anymore. And I think that you can take that level of grounding, put it back into the story that you're reading right now, and then what about this cyclical thing and this sort of roller coaster that we're on that seems to keep going in these big generational circles is funny, And I think sometimes people, I'm not even saying it's their fault because sometimes they're right about the way it's handled, but I think sometimes people think to make comedy about something is to, at the same time, dismiss it or disrespect it, when I think that you can talk about anything, especially if you talk about the thing well in regards to how people feel about it. There are plenty of things I don't find funny at all. Like the actual subject matter is not funny, but the jokes that come out of that subject matter are funny.
What is it like for you every night hearing your name as part of the introduction of The Daily Show?
It is weird. It's very cool, but I think that it is, it's something that still, anytime it happens, sort of like takes me aback a little bit. Like I can't help but light up a little bit because I really love being at the show. I loved the show before I ever worked at the show. To be a bigger part of it is like, yeah, it's a dream.
You've been a writer for many years before you became a correspondent on The Daily Show. And I was a producer before I became a correspondent. And I remember somebody said to me, did you have your eye on being in front of the camera? And I said, no, it was my mentor who said, you might want to consider this other thing. And it was shocking to me then, as it still is now. Did you have your eye on being a correspondent, or was it somebody, John, or somebody who said, Josh?
From the first times that I saw the show, all the way back when I was in high school, all the way up until taking that opportunity to write a packet, get an interview and everything, I just wanted to be the absolute best part of the thing that I was doing. So whenever I was writing, it was about like getting as many jokes as possible on the show, or just contributing to as many of other people's great jokes as as are getting on the show. So if there's an idea that's really funny, trying to tag that and trying to just be as big of a part of it as possible. And so when this opportunity opened up, I genuinely was pretty surprised that it was happening because I was comfortable as a writer and I was thankful to have such a long tenure at a place, which just doesn't really happen in comedy writing. And so, yeah, it really felt a little bit more like things started falling into alignment than anything that I had been angling for specifically, if that makes sense.
It does.
Yeah.
It does. And I wonder, too, the ratings for The Daily Show are higher than they've ever been since like 2017. But you have millions of followers on social media. Have you found, since you've become a correspondent, that you are recognized more for being on The Daily Show, or because of the fact that you release every week, you release your clip and your comedy on YouTube, and you've got a huge following beyond The Daily Show?
I look at it as everything sort of builds everything, and I'm still very much, if you want to talk about notoriety or any sort of fame, it's still, I'm at the level of squinting.
What does that mean?
If I'm at the airport and somebody sees me, they're like, they're not like, The Daily Show's Josh Johnson buying a bagel. That's not what's happening. They're very much like,
yeah.
And then they'll look at their phone and they'll look up one more time.
Yeah.
And then I never want to assume that someone knows me, because I feel like once you do that, you're like, I think it's more embarrassing for you to just assume people know who you are. And so even sometimes after that, I'll be like kind of just going about my way because I don't want to intrude on anybody's day. But I'm still very much like people will squint, and then when they approach, sometimes they'll be like, because whatever people don't know where to place you, they want you to be still.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So then they're like, I think I saw you on TV or my phone. It's like, and I don't take any of it personally. I love when I get to have these conversations with people, and I'm very thankful that people watch me in any medium. But I am not yet at the place of like people yelling like Eddie Murphy was a level of famous where people would yell the joke
Eddie!
from
across the street. Yeah. Right.
I'm very much like people are in close proximity to me, and they're like,
the squinting phase. I love that.
Yeah.
You find yourself now in the squinting phase of your career, but you're releasing stand-up sets on YouTube every week that are pulling in millions and millions of viewers. I mean, was it important for you? You know, a lot of people would say, well, I'm on The Daily Show now. I don't have to hustle that hard to put my stuff out there because it goes out every day, every night. People see me. And why would I burn the energy in doing this other thing, right? Because a lot of people say, well, you hustle and you do all that so that one day you get the opportunity, you get to that desk and you sit at the desk and you go, right? Take a breath.
I guess so, but like it's the same as you to a degree. You do what you love because you love doing it. So it's not like I have worked so hard to then not have to work because I didn't like what I was doing. I love what I'm doing. I'm very blessed that I get to do it. And so I look at it not as some obligation or not as some sort of feedback loop or trap. I look at it as I really enjoy what I do. I'm blessed that I get to do it. There's been a long time where I was working as hard as I'm working now and nobody cared. And that's also very fair. And so I think that you doubling down on your efforts when they're efforts that you love, that is a privilege. Like, maybe some people might see it that way where they're like, oh, you could take your foot off the gas or you could whatever. But I think that when you have been given such incredible opportunity and you still have the energy and the will, I think you have to be very present about that stuff and do all of it now if possible. You know,
Makes sense.
like tomorrow's not really promised in any sort of way, and so a real understanding of here's what I would like to do. I would like to be, you know, the best in a way, and because the best is subjective, I think it's very important for any artist, any creative, to have a goal that is like your ultimate passion, but is unattainable because it keeps you on the path a bit. If you could just be the best and it's been decided and okay, I'm the best and everyone's gonna stop doing comedy now, it's like that would be a terrible world. But if I want to consistently be my best and if I can be someone's favorite and they can connect with what I put out there and I'm just the best for them, that's still an incredible thing.
Yeah.
And so I think I do my best to every week rededicate myself to all the things that I've put my time and effort in to build the skills to make a great show and deliver that show to people because it's the thing that I've wanted to do since I was a little kid. You know, I don't look at it as any sort of I'm just doing this until this happens because this happening was the whole intention.
My grandmother used to say, behind that mountain is another mountain. In other words, you get up there and then you get to the top and then you go, oh, on to the next one. Right?
Yes, and I think that if you tell yourself, I'll be happy when this thing happens, you'll never really be happy. And if you tell yourself that I am on the pursuit of this unattainable goal, but I'm gonna chase it as if it's right in front of me. Every week, it's like right in front of me. Is this gonna be the thing that takes me to that next level, or is this gonna be the thing that I put out that I can really start to build off of? And then you look back to what your grandmother was saying, you look back and you have this catalog of mountains. And I think that that's something that you can be really proud of throughout a career, and it made sure that it kept you honest throughout the journey, you know?
One of the things that I enjoy about your comedy, and I think other people do as well, is I can tell that you're a storyteller. When did you realize that the audience was not necessarily interested in a punchline or a joke, but that they were interested in your storytelling?
And this is how I write, because I think that it is my job first to be funny. If I was very engaging or interesting, or I said something that really connected with you, but I wasn't funny, then you may have enjoyed it, and I'm glad that you enjoyed it, but I didn't really do my job and I need to do it better, right? And so I'm thinking about what is funny about this thing first, and I know that the classic comedian thing is to be thinking about laughs per minute, but I think that a story that takes you to a place gives you this thing of being entertained, being interesting, and then being funny. And so I think that for me, I look at what I want to deliver to an audience is a show that is really interesting and really funny. And so to me, stories provide all those things. Sometimes you look at people and you're like, they're not really doing comedy, whatever. But I think that having an assessment of why people enjoy what they're doing and like a real understanding of it makes you better at what you're doing, even if you decide to do a different thing. And so one thing that I have an immense like appreciation for are the people who wrote street jokes. Like the jokes that just like, you don't even know where they come from, but they do come from a person. Someone said them, and they are a thing that we've passed along now, and we don't credit the person, but like they're just in our head in that way. And I think a story can do that. As an example, I did a set, maybe it was a year ago. It was about how my friend and I took our other friend to a strip club. And at the strip club, he was convinced that one of the dancers had fallen in love with him.
Story as old as time.
And I was like, oh no, you know, what did we do? Because we put him in that situation to then be swooning over this person who is just doing their job and is good at their job. And
really
so
good.
He's so taken with them because not only are they good at their job, but they have the interpersonal skills to like listen, to carry the conversation, and to show an engagement in what is being said, to where, yes, you could easily mistake, oh, this person is really into me as a person, right? And I told that story so that later on when I was talking about politics and I tried to like bring the point home that I understand why MAGA think that Trump loves them. Like I've watched that happen before. He's doing his self-appointed job of like saying what you need to hear, making you feel seen and everything, but like your intentions, just like my friend's intentions towards this person of like, yeah, maybe we'll hang out next week and maybe we'll go on a couple dates, is not that person's intention necessarily. Sometimes, who knows? But I think the same thing about the state of politics and what people expect from someone who never said those things. You know, like MAGA sort of just means whatever people think it means, and then they try to read the stars for him exacting the agenda that they have put on him. But he's doing his own thing. And so if I tell you a story, I think I make that through line a lot easier than just making a quick analogy and moving on, if that makes sense.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And that is also not to disrespect people who dance and compare them to Trump. I have an immense respect for exotic dancers and people in the industry, and I am not saying, I was making an example.
Yeah.
Yeah. These people are not the same, is what I am saying. I think I was more weird than funny. And so then I think that I was able to turn the things about me that were peculiar or weird or even like unique, if you want to be gracious about the situation, then I was able to make those things funny. And the way that I think and the way that I just process information when it's incoming, I think I was able to make funny, but I don't know if you can teach funny, because I will say this, and this is just a personal belief that I have, is that a lot of people are funny. Even the thing you're telling me now of it would take you 3 days to come up with a comeback or a tag or to something or whatever, but it's still in there. Mm-hmm. It just doesn't come out immediately. And I think that sometimes we have such a deference to people who are quick with it because that's impressive, that we sometimes forget that we all have a little bit of it. It's just about honing it. It's just about believing in it as well. Mm. You know, if you were like, I have this really funny story. It's really funny, and you tell me the story and it is funny, then you are doing it in a sense. But it's just, can you be funny for an extended period of time? Do you have more than that one story? I think that everybody has a funny story. If you've been out long enough and you've been living enough life and have enough experiences, something, even if you are not the most humorous person, has happened in front of you that is insane. And then you just telling someone about that thing that happened. Sometimes people tell the story exactly as it happened, and you're like, this is one of the craziest things I've ever heard, you know? And does that make them funny, or does that just mean that they've been like living enough life that they had an experience that was really interesting? I think that's sort of up to them. If you want to pursue being funny, then I look at it as the way that everyone has like a distinct DNA, everyone has a very specific sense of humor. The hope when you do comedy is that you can align people who have this one aspect of their sense of humor that you click with. And so no matter how many people come together all at the same time, you're able to bring them together to laugh at the things that you think are funny, that they will also find funny because you found that sort of small part of this like humorous genetic code that just clicks with this person. And that's the hope, you know? So if someone wants to pursue comedy in any way, I tell them, like, give it a try. You might find that you really love jokes, but you don't love being in front of people. Mm-hmm. But then that turns you into a comedy writer, which you wouldn't have been unless you tried. And I think that all the people who are serious and all the people who are committed will stay and keep doing it and get better. And the people who aren't will choose to do other things. and that doesn't take away from anyone's ability to strengthen whatever their craft is, no matter what it is.
So let's talk about your parents, your grandparents, your family growing up in Louisiana. Were you exposed to comedy from them? Are they funny? Did you grow up in a funny household? Or was it that your exposure to the art of comedy came through television and film? And
Yeah, I think my grandma was very funny, like very, very funny. My grandma was funny on purpose, and my dad was funny by accident. Like my grandma could just, first of all, like she could do really good impressions that were not, they weren't like uncanny impressions. She would just capture the music of how someone talked and then do it. So it's like she would be doing an impression that you could consider bad, but you knew exactly who she was talking about, which kind of made it incredible. Because it's like, you didn't even change your voice. You just said 2 words wrong, and I knew exactly who you were talking about. Whereas my dad was funny in a way that was completely unintentional. Like there was one time, I think it was one of his fraternity brothers from college, he was helping them move. And this is like, you know, he's like older now and everything. This is before he passed. And he was there to help move. So everybody's like moving the heavy stuff. Like he is there with them, and they move the couch, and then he comes out and he's holding the cushions. And then they moved the whole pool table, and then he came out holding the balls and the sticks. And then they moved the bed. They moved the bed, frame and all. They took the frame apart, moved the whole bed, and then he came out with the pillows. And then as soon as they moved those 3 biggest things, he was like, whew. Ooh, I can go for some lunch. Are y'all hungry? And that's just like the person that he was. And so it was like, it was an effortless type of funny, and it was always like unintentional. Like my dad wasn't one of those people who was like coming to you with a joke or something. He loved comedy. One of his favorite comedians was Cedric the Entertainer. He loved Steve Harvey. He loved like all kings of comedy. Everybody loved Bernie Mac so much. Loved D.L. Hughley. Like we watched D.L. Hughley's show together and everything when I was a kid. And yeah, I look at him as like the real comedy fan in my family. And I feel like I got a little bit of my music bug and like an obsession over comedy from my dad. But then everyone else is like funny. Like my entire mom's side is like very, very funny people. And they are being funny. Like my grandma, there was one time we went to this restaurant and we just looked at the menu, and we had already decided like maybe we should go, because it was just my aunt, my mom, my grandma, and I. And we were like, maybe we should just go. And my grandma was looking at the prices, and one of the soups was, I think it was like $25 or something like that. And my grandma was like, $25 for hot water. And it's like, but that was her entire personality, was that grabbing something, assessing it, and she was like quick.
Yeah.
You know? Like I don't even know if I'm as quick as my grandma was. Like her entire personality had these edges to it from things that she went through and how she processed the world and everything. And I think that all of that I was the beneficiary of, from just being able to be around her for so long. And you know, we had such incredible moments together. There was this one, because she had dementia, she had Alzheimer's and everything. And in the last couple years, there was this one time where I was just sitting with her, and I don't know, it kind of like came out of nowhere. She turned to me and she was like, you know, I always remember you, right? Like even when I forget things and I get lost, I don't know where I am, like just know that I'm always remembering you. Like every time I see you. And I was just like, I was just so taken aback by it, because it truly came out of nowhere. Like we weren't even talking at the moment, but it was just a thing that she imparted on me that she felt like I needed to know, which I did. Like that's such a powerful moment to share with a person. And I would hope that in everything that I do, I can do that for people, whether they know me personally or not. It's like she had a real talent for being able to like really see you and tell you exactly the thing that you needed, and not like needed to hear in a buttering up sort of way, but like really needed, like when you were struggling. And so that's something that I hope I can put little bits of into everything that I do. It's like one of my main things that I try to instill with people is how you're not alone. Like if we're out here, you know, people talk about the loneliness epidemic and how like how tech keeps us like a little bit at bay, at arm's length from each other and everything. But it's like if we're all lonely, what sense does that make? Like if everybody's lonely at the same time, it sounds like we're all in the same boat, you know? And I think that just even knowing that puts you like one step closer, brings the arm in a little bit more. And I think so much of what I think about comedy and how I think about talking to people comes from her.
Do you remember your first show? Your first stand-up show on your own? Where was that? Take me there.
Okay. So as far as like whether it was an open mic or a show, it was actually the same place. But there was a place in Chicago in about Rogers Park area called Pressure Billiards, and they had a open mic night that they would do every Tuesday. And then they had a show that they would do, I think sometimes they did it on Thursdays and sometimes it'd be on Saturday. And I think it was just depends on what independent like show was there that day. But I would always do the mic, and that is actually the first open mic I ever did in Chicago. And then the show, I got booked on maybe a few weeks into being in Chicago, just because someone had seen me at the mic a couple times and everything. Yeah, it went much better than I would have expected it to go, but also because in real time I was assessing when it was going poorly and addressing it. So
you
it's
were
like,
in the middle of the set.
Yeah, so I think I had 10 minutes or something. Maybe I had 8. And the first 5 minutes were the first few jokes that I've been working on open mics. And then eventually I said something, and I don't remember what it was, but it didn't go off well. And I think I said like, I should have stopped. Like if I had left, y'all would have liked me so much more if I would have left right before I got into this last thing. And then that got them back to the point where I was able to finish strong. And so I remember it as having a really good experience and everything. And then even when I would bomb, I would kind of really try to be open about the fact that I know I'm bombing, because there was one time I did a show and I was just not having a good night. And so maybe the middle of the set, it wasn't towards the end, because I would still try to save, no matter how bad I was doing, I'd still try to save the last 2-3 minutes for the jokes I knew would work, so I could like save the set as a memory, you know? Because if you start strong, you end strong. The middle being a little wobbly is like kind of understandable when you're new, you know? And I just remember mid-set being like, okay, if they didn't like this and they didn't like this, they're probably not gonna like the next one. And so instead of doing the next joke, I was just like, I'm sorry y'all paid. If I had known that this was gonna cost real money, I would have told them to discount my set, because this is, I did well initially, and I could tell 7 minutes in, y'all were like, we trusted you.
Right.
And so
But you win them over when you do that, right? Like
sure. Sometimes people are just like, yep. You don't always win them over. It is only endearing to not be good at what you do sometimes, you know? And so for me, I just looked at it as, let me be honest about what's happening. I think some people will appreciate that honesty. In this case, they did. And then I was able to end strong on the jokes I'd been saving towards the end of the set.
And now for your weekly YouTube stand-ups that you post every week, I mean, what I love about what you do is everything is so timely. Thing just happened yesterday, and you've got an hour on Spirit Airlines. You've got an hour on the White House Correspondents' Dinner, or whatever it is that's bubbling out there in the news. And it's one thing to do a joke, a couple, but you do a whole thing around that particular topic. How hard is it or maybe it's not, to write around something that is still happening. I mean, the Spirit thing is still happening, right? People,
Oh,
the
no, it's
company,
bad. Yeah.
yeah. So
no,
it's like the news, and then like there's the rest of it, but you're already writing something, and it's funny.
So I think it's just important whenever I'm writing something to be putting the pieces together in real time. When I look at the Spirit set, right? What happened with that one was there's a couple of things from my experiences on Spirit that I've just kind of always had, like since they happened, you know? So there was the thing of the woman walking up to the gate agent and being like, "Where's the plane?" And just like really rude, really abrupt, really like no, like nothing, just what, like as if it's her fault as well. "Where's the plane?" And then the gate agent was like, "Why your eyebrows like that?" And just stared her down. "Why your eyebrows like that?" "I guess we all have questions. Go sit back down." And it's like, that's a thing that from the time that it happened to present is like a thing that I witnessed that I'm like, that's incredible. And not every joke and not every story has to go out immediately. So sometimes you table things for years until the opportunity presents itself. And now with Spirit going out of business, one of the points I make in the set and one of the things I truly believe is that you can break down a lot of how America works by price. There are certain expectations people have when they pay a certain amount. There's certain expectations a business has when they give you a certain discount. And so you can almost break down per cost of each airline the experience people expect versus the experience that they're going to get versus their level of satisfaction, right? And so with Spirit being this budget airline, it affords a lot of people these opportunities to go places that they wouldn't have been able to go to or get in some clutch travel that they really need. Because you have this price point, you have not everybody, but a good portion of the people coming in with some level of similar type of urgency. You know, it's very different to pay first class on a trip that you're taking to Hawaii and the plane's not there and you walk up and you're like, "Where's the plane at?" Mm-hmm. It's very different to be like, "This is the only thing I can afford. I need to be there by this time and the plane's not here. Where's the plane at?" You know? And so it could be the same question asked a different way or asked from a different perspective, right? And I look at what Spirit provided as a service and all the situations that we all got into through flying Spirit. And I'm like, what I appreciate about the airline is that this interaction could probably only happen on this airline because you're also dealing with somebody who, as a gate agent, has not been given the proper tools or notice or anything to even give you an answer. So now they're fed up too.
Right.
And they're fed up in a way that is not the concierge way of being fed up. Because now, I guarantee you, if you're first class JetBlue and you walk up and you're like, "Where's the plane at?" They, seeing that you're Mosaic, seeing that you're like high status, have to be like, "I'm so sorry that the plane is not here yet. And while I don't control planes," you even have to have a level of apologetic nature about a thing that is not your fault. Like anyone who's ever worked customer service is like aware of that thing. But then there's just some things where it's Spirit just real rubbed up against real. And it rubbed up against real so well that that's a thing I'm gonna miss is that, yeah, you might get a response like that flying Spirit. And you could get, to be fair, you could get it with any airline. Totally different airline I took one time, just so it doesn't look like I'm throwing Spirit under the bus. Totally different airline I took one time. I was on a flight and the flight had been delayed and I was late making my connection. So it being delayed actually saved me. But it had been delayed so long that they were at the point of, should we deplane everyone? So they're trying to put me on this flight while discussing if they're gonna deplane the flight in real time. And so I'm like waiting for my ticket, just trying to be quiet and patient and everything. And they finally decide, okay, we can fit him on this flight. And it wasn't my initial connection.
Oh, right.
So I just ran up to that.
Okay.
Because I was like, "You're going where I need to go." And so then they were able to put me on the flight. But because they had been talking about the deplaning in front of me, when they print my ticket and hand it to me, the gate agent looks me dead in my eyes and goes, "Don't tell anybody about deplaning." And it's just like staring me
serious,
down.
right?
And I was like, what? Like, because I've never had somebody do me a favor, but also be like, don't snitch about this completely separate thing. Because I think in his mind, he's like, if I get on the flight and I'm like, y'all, we about to deplane it anyway, there would be a riot. But it's like, what cause would I even have to tell anybody about deplane? But as he's printing my ticket and handed it to me, don't say nothing. So it could happen with any airline.
Right.
I'm just saying it happened more in my experience with Spirit.
Yeah. So you're incredibly busy. I mean, in addition to your weekly, specials that you do, or your weekly YouTube channel, you're doing the Daily Show. You've got an HBO special. You talked to me about your father and how he loved these kings of comedy, and these guys who themselves had HBO specials, had specials on network television. What's it like for you now to be fronting an HBO comedy special?
It feels a bit surreal in that you're joining this this very particular group. One of the things I like about HBO is that they have a catalog of very specifically, intentionally chosen people, and they're not just like throwing everybody at the wall and everything, and they really back the people that they believe should get a special in the season of specials that they're putting out. And so you just know that when you do something with them, it's gonna be very unique. And so I'm just really thankful. It's like, so many of these things feel weird, if I'm being honest with you. Like, you do your best to operate in a way that you keep a level of belief and a level of like persistence and patience and professionalism that when the thing happens, you would hope it almost feels familiar.
Yeah.
But you still sometimes have to take a step back to be like, this is crazy, because these are the things I thought about when I was little, And I look at it the way I look at the Olympics, where some of these athletes, 2 decades they put into their sport, and they finally take gold or they finally medal it all. And they're like, it was all for this. And I'm so blessed because I get to make everything all for this, and then all for this, and then all for this, and then all for this. So it's not just one thing that I have to hang an entire career or entire body of work on. It's just everything contributing to the journey. And so, yeah, I'm like over the moon about it. I'm excited for people to see it. I hope that the message comes across and that everyone just has a great time watching, enjoying it.
I've read that you're not the biggest fan of secondary ticket markets and resale tickets, that you'd rather have an empty seat in the venue than have any of your fans paying what you think are ridiculous, over-the-top prices when they buy tickets on the secondary market. Why are you so passionate about that?
Because I was someone who couldn't afford tickets for a really long time. Like, I was someone who, when I was in college, I got to see a handful of shows through student discounts and everything. And when I would move to Chicago, I could really only see the shows that were $5-10, just because I was out on my own for the first time and I was bringing home like, enough to pay my rent, but not enough to go crazy with anything. And in fact, when I got my job at the Tonight Show back in the day, when I was working there, one of the things that I did do was go see a Broadway show, because I finally had some money to do that. And so it's just really important to me that the show is as much of a spectacle as possible and as affordable as possible, because I want people that were in my situation to be able to see a show that I think is going to be really unique and really special. So obviously, just paying people through what you're trying to produce production-wise and everything, sometimes ticket prices come up a little bit. But then on the secondary market, things just go insane, because I almost look at the secondary market as like the capitalist manifesto of like, I'm gonna squeeze you for everything that you're worth, versus what I'm trying to do is give you a show, and a show that you can feel comfortable making a date out of, or feeling comfortable paying and not worrying about the next thing that's coming up. It's not in between, can you come see me, or can you pay a bill or something like that. I never want it to be that way. And so I do my best to keep prices really affordable, and the secondary market does, I mean, does nothing for me, does nothing for the people who want to come see me. It's just like a milking system that people use to try to get one over. And I just hate seeing that, because I know what I would have been like in that position if I really wanted to see someone had to buy a ticket on the secondary market, and either that ticket doesn't exist or it's 3 to 5 times the actual price and stuff. And so we've done pretty well where we've, built things out through the email list. I always tell people, buy them from my site, join my email list, because I would rather add a show than have people buy these insane tickets. And then, if there's an empty seat there, that lets me know that there's something that I could be doing even better. I could be trying to get around the scalpers even better. I could be doing my best to build the email list so that everybody just knows directly from the immediate time that the tickets are on sale to the point that they actually come to the show. Like, I look at those things as feedback, and I think we're doing pretty well, because now some of the resellers are backing off a touch. It's never perfect, but I want to do everything I can to ensure that people can see an affordable show and can really have an experience. Like, I look back when I was a kid, and just from watching TV, I can only imagine what like the spectacle would have felt like if you were there. And I have a lot of plans for things that I want to do with the people that I collaborate with, that I want people to be able to afford and come see. And I'm also trying to get more artists paid and everything. And so it's a real balancing act, but it's something that, one, I feel in a really privileged position to be able to do, and two, I feel like it's necessary. It's like, if the Ticketmasters and if all these other places on their own systems aren't going to look out for your people, you have to look out for your people. And so I'm doing the best job that I can right now, and I plan to double down on efforts in the future and do it better every year, because every year I'm like learning. Last year was the first year I even had to like deal with any of that, because the year before that I was still in clubs which mainly had their own specific ticketing system, that you didn't really have to worry about some of that stuff as much. Like, you could still worry about it, because anyone can try to sell a ticket on the secondary market to a degree, but it's really when you move up as far as venues that you're dealing with places for the first time that even have that sort of thing. And so, yeah, just try and be really mindful of it. I look back at my time in Chicago, and as much as I loved it, and I loved just about every experience, it sucks to be broke.
Yeah, man.
And so when you're already broke and you want to treat yourself to something, you want that thing to be something you look back on and not have any regret for the experience that you had. And I think so many people in America have to choose between like affording their life and enjoying their life. And so I just want to be able to provide something that people can come see, and then not, a week later be like, why did I do this? I got to pay for this other thing.
So those collaborations that you're talking about for the future, I mean, will we see that on your upcoming tour?
Yeah.
You mentioned your dad's comedy heroes. I know some of yours, but now you're in a position where you probably hang out with some of the people you grew up listening to. Who are those people, and what's that like? What is that feeling like that you are now a peer of theirs? You may not feel that way,
yeah. But I don't know. Peer is a strong word, because then I feel like a peer. What was it? In The Dark Knight Rises, there was this scene where there was a rookie cop and there was a cop who knew who Batman was.
Right.
Yeah. And so when we see Batman for the first time, rookie cop doesn't know what to expect. Rookie cop even shot at Batman.
Right.
And Batman turned around and was like, and then the veteran cop was like, put that thing away before you hurt yourself. Right. And that is how I feel sometimes around people who have so much experience and been doing it so much longer than I have, because I haven't had the opportunity to hang out personally or anything yet, but like I look at Arsenio Hall, D.L. Hughley, Wanda Sykes, I look at Maria Bamford, who I have been able to like have a lunch with at a festival and everything, and it was just so cool. I look at all of these people as people who see further down the road than I've even thought of because they've had those experiences and everything. And so it's still surreal to have anybody that you watched before you did comedy in front of you just hanging out is like that's why peer is a little bit I know I've been talking a whole lot about how I want to be the best and everything, but I don't mean that in terms of like a competition. I'm not looking at them as like any sort of adversary or any sort of opponent or anything. I just mean it in that I have a deep faith that if I apply myself fully, I can create things that have so wholly not been done yet, that I can contribute to the tapestry that is quilted together of what all of them have made, that I can have some standout strands in there, you know? And so, yeah, I look at those people as like just incredible for what they were able to do when they first, busted out onto the scene and everything. Like the show that Arsenio Hall was making, it's like
Iconic.
How will people even have another opportunity to do something like that because of the sort of not democratization fully, but kind of the democratization of attention and how everyone can find their niche now that there are fewer gatekeepers in terms of holding attention and keeping it. It's like, will there ever be another Arsenio Hall to break those barriers? Or are we just sort of living in the world that he created by like busting open some of those gates?
Yeah.
And so that's why peer is like such a strong word to me, because I have an immense respect for, even in terms of like alternative comedy, what the people have done before me, who were the first people that were willing to get out there and be really different and weird and like change what it meant to go to a stand-up comedy show, as well as the people who come even before those people, like the sort of like grandfather of that stuff in George Carlin and Richard Pryor, who were some of the first people to give us these like bio style takes on the world in real time and not just do like jokes about my wife or whatever. You know, like the people who gave us real point of view first. And then you see like how Jonathan Winters influenced Robin Williams, who influences so many other people as far as like comedy, acting, and stand-up as well. And I think that all of these people have such incredible contributions to this overall thing that we do, that yeah, I'm still feeling like a fan every time I'm around, you know?
And lastly, you grew up watching The Daily Show. Now, once a week, you get to sit at that desk and do what so many have done before you. And so many of those correspondents have gone on. Colbert, John Oliver is in The Lion King. Ronnie Chang is in Crazy Rich Asians. I mean, like, what's that like? Not only to be at that desk, but to be in this space with these other amazing talents.
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask to not be in a movie.
No,
yeah.
no, you want to be in a movie, right?
Eventually, we'll see. I don't know. They already did Lion King. We'll see. Fingers crossed. But like, you know what feels incredible, and I hope that I can articulate this thing in a way that makes sense. But it has taken all of the time that I have been given, and you'll see me say this many times, to appreciate like what a gift all this is, and the way that everything stacks. Like everything is part of a tapestry, even the things that you don't see in the moment, you know? Like it all feels like chaos, and some of it is a sort of like pure chaos on top of like an organized chaos and everything, but all these little things that happen. What if I hadn't moved to New York? Or what if I never met Trevor Noah? Or what if? And then you stack all those what ifs on top of all the things that mean something to you. Wanda Sykes being like one of my comedy heroes, and then Wanda Sykes doing a guest week on The Daily Show and me being able to write for Wanda Sykes in a way that I would have had to go on such a different journey to be able to write for Wanda Sykes. But all these things happened in time with each other, and there is such a majestic clockwork to how life works. If you really look around, if you really pay attention, there is like a rhythm to how so many of these things are happening. And once again, maybe that's a part of what people see as my optimism, is that when you look at these rhythms, you don't always like the song that's playing, for sure. Sometimes it's a very sad song, sometimes it's horrific, sometimes it's light and beautiful and everything. But like knowing that these rhythms change and having these opportunities that like flow in and out of each other. Like when I'm behind the desk, I'm not really thinking so much just about myself or even the overall big thing, because I think then you would psych yourself out to be like, John was sitting here yesterday. You know, like that does cross my mind sometimes. And it's why I never want to like botch a joke, because I'm like, he was just here. Do you know what I mean? Like imagine LeBron was just dunking. And they even gave you the trampoline to make sure you make it to the rim. You cannot miss now. Do you know what I mean? Because everyone that works at the show provides this safety net as well as like a springboard for every idea, for perspective, for every take. And so you get to be the beneficiary of so many people, just like you have people here. So many people end up making you look good, putting forward your work, which is some of it, sure, sparked from your ideas, but there are writers, there are producers, there's so many different people behind the scenes working towards this end goal of making an incredible show. And it's a thing that you don't get in stand-up. Like stand-up, it's just me by myself. So the best show that I can bring you is the best show that I can bring you myself. The Daily Show is like everyone is coming together for this shared goal. And I'm blessed that, you know, on rotation, I get to be the beneficiary of it. But yeah, it's an incredible feeling. But once again, it's never lost on me that John was just there. Like I don't know if you ever seen somebody jump on like an NBA game, jump on one of the trampolines they give you so you can dunk and then miss it.
It's like everybody feels bad.
Because then when you're falling forever. Because that's not how high you can actually jump. You know what I mean? I watched one dude do it, and then he was so excited to be. You could tell he had never jumped high because he was so excited to be in the air.
He was just like missed the whole point of it.
Opened his mouth and everything, like and then missed. And then it felt like he fell forever. When he landed, I genuinely thought he was dead. I was like, oh, this is bad. I hope this one isn't broadcast.
Well, you keep slamming it, man. You keep slamming those dunks.
I appreciate you.